Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover of a 2008 Swift Bolero 600 EK Compact. So starting my walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle, the first point you get to is your fresh water filler. So this is where you fill with fresh water via a hose pipe. So if your cap is open, you'll be able to put the hose pipe in there and then fill till it either overflows out the side of the vehicle or until you check the control panel and you know how much water is on the gauge. So it'll give you a level indication of how much water is on board. You've got the habitation key here, which also does the fresh water cap, so you can lock this to stop anyone from stealing your cap or tampering with your water. And then further back you do have your truma vent. So this just allows the fumes out, so just make sure it's always kept obstruction free. Next you do have your hookup point, so this is your mains connection point. So you'd lift the cap if this hookup lead did have a cap cover on it, and then you'd hook it up, hook this power source up on site or at home, and then when you come to unhook the vehicle, hook the site end out first, then press the button and disconnect the vehicle. Behind the back wheel on the driver's side you have your wastewater outlet. So this is anything that you've drained off down a sink. So shower water, dishes water, hand basin water, or any liquid, cups of tea, anything that you've drained off goes to a separate holding tank. So normally on the way out of a site you'd go over the motorhome service bay and you'd simply open, and that'll just drain off your wastewater. It would then be a good idea just to leave it open a slight jar when you're driving, because as the tank is flat underneath the vehicle, when you move on the camber of the road when driving, it'll bounce any loose water out there, and it's very important that you drain this off fully in the winter to stop the water from freezing, because it can cause damage to the pipeworks and tanks underneath the vehicle. Further back you do have your cassette loo, so again using the habitation key you can lock and unlock, press the buttons in on both sides, open the cassette like so. Then you want to make sure that the blade on the bottom bowl of the toilet, which I'll show you when I'm inside the vehicle, is closed, otherwise you'll not be able to lift the cassette out. To lift the cassette out, there's a little yellow handle, lift it up and slide the cassette out free of the vehicle. Then empty. What you would do is you would remove the cap, go to the waste disposal point on site, which is normally behind or beside your toilet block.
Okay, I'll catch you later.
Press the button at the back. So if you press the button when tipping and removing the cap, it'll all flow nicely. And then what you would do is, there's normally a tap there, put some water in down here, put the cap back on, give it a shake, give it a rinse, tip out again. Then if you're using the liquid form of chemical, this is a 120ml cap full of the blue or the green liquid, straight into the vehicle, and it's good to go back into the van. Or if you're using the new form, which is the cellophane tablets, you put a pint of water in, which you just push the cassette in completely dry, flush a pint of water in, and then followed by a tablet which you just chuck down the toilet, open the blade, and it'll all end up in here. But I'll show you about the blade when we're inside. At the back of the van you've got your high level brake light and reverse camera at the top, and then you do have your two Fiamma bike rack. Wheels on here, these through the spokes to tie the wheels onto the rail, and then these on the crossbars. Then what I would advise is that you put some sort of bike lock around the bikes, a chain, just to stop them from being stolen if the vehicle is left unattended. Coming round to the passenger side of the vehicle, you've got your awning, the Fiamma awning, which just rolls out. LPG, so liquid petroleum gas, this is your gas locker. So this is where your bottles are. This is our test bottle, as they don't come with bottles, but it does take 2 6-kilogram propanes, and you could probably get a bigger one in there, such as an 11 and a 6. Using the straps we'll always advise you that you strap your bottle in once it's on board to connect the pigtail to the regulator and to the bottle. It's just a left hand thread, so no need for a spanner, so you just hand tighten it, left hand thread to tighten, right to loosen, and then you turn the bottle on and off from the top of the bottle. Always make sure that the bottle is turned off when travelling, and you can turn it back on when you arrive on site. You do have a crash valve in the middle of this regulator here, so if this black nib was to ever pop out, it just needs to be pushed back in, because that's probably why you're not getting gas through, because your crash valve has activated. You've got your carpets underneath here, which is storage underneath your front lounge. You do have your diesel filler on the side of the passenger door using the main Fate key. You can open the fuel lockable cap, fill with diesel fuel. And then on the passenger door slam panel, you've got your tyre pressure. So 5.5 bar on the back, 5 bar on the back, which is 79.5 on the back and 72.3 on the front. Engine battery lives underneath the floor on the Fiat Ducato, but there is jumping points underneath the bonnet. You've got storage underneath the passenger seat and storage underneath the driver's seat. Tyre inflation kit on this one, as it doesn't come with a spare wheel, and your bonnet release is on the side of the dashboard. So if we have a quick look underneath the bonnet, you've got all your fluids to the left hand side, so screen wash, brake fluid, power steering fluid, coolant, engine oil filler, dipstick, paint code, earth for giving a jump start, and positive underneath this cap for giving or receiving. So there your jump points as your battery is underneath the cab floor, and this would be how you would jump the vehicle or jump another vehicle should you need to. So once inside the vehicle, above the habitation door, you do have your main 12-volt control panel. So if you're hooked up, you'll get this little red light indicating that you are receiving 230 mains volt off your hookup. If you don't, then you're just getting 12 volt off your leisure battery. And then to view your levels, what you need to do is just press this tick. So just click it once. You've got your fresh water, half a tank, wastewater 0. So these are your water levels. Press again and it'll show a picture of a trailer and a battery. Leisure battery is 13.1 volts. A truck and a battery, and that's your Fiat engine battery, which is 13.8 volts. You've got the ampage coming into the battery of 33.8 amp as we're on mains hookup. And that would bring you back to the main display panel. Should you want to change the time, what you need to do is just press and hold the tick for about 30 seconds or longer, and then you'll be able to use these buttons here to control the date and time and the settings. But coming down to the left hand side, you've got at the top your pump. So you must turn your pump on if you're using the taps, toilet or shower to pressurise the water. You've got your awning light outside, which is this one here. And you've got your interior lights, which is your entrance lights. And you've got your other lights here, which turns off all the lights above the lounge and various other places. But they all are individually switched, so you can just switch whichever lights on you want at any time. So now in the kitchen area, you do have your microwave, which is a mains 800 watt microwave, which will only work when hooked up. So there's your microwave. You've also got 3 gas burners and 1 electric hot plate. So your electric hot plate is this left hand one here, which is the back one, which is you've got to be hooked up as it's a mains hot plate on 230 volt. If you weren't hooked up and you were wild camping, you would just use your gas anyway. And there you have 3 gas lit rings. Once you've had any burner on, including the electric one. Allow it to cool before you put the cooker hood down, because if you put it down when it's too warm you can smash the hood. And below, you've got your oven. So allow the thermocouple to get warm before releasing, and that's your oven away there at the back. And then above, you've got your grill. So again, keep it pressed in until the thermocouple gets warm on the grill. And there you have your grill lit. So you've just got to keep a hold of it until the thermocouple gets warm, and then don't try and light it too much because it gives it an excess supply of gas and it will not light because of the thermocouple. But that is your grill working. So to operate your Thetford fridge, so you've got your on off button here which turns the fridge on and off by pressing and holding. So that's it off. Press and hold again, it'll turn it back on. This one does your temperature and this one does your energy source. So starting with the energy source first, you'll notice auto. Auto means the brain of the fridge picks out the best source it has available. So at the moment we've got the gas on, we're hooked up, so it's when to hook up, which is the picture of the plug there. If I was to take the hookup out, it would switch over to gas and light on gas. If I was to start the engine, it'll get a 12 volt feed from the alternator when the engine's running, which is designed to keep the fridge at the same temperature it was at when departing. So if you are travelling from site to site, or you're travelling from home to site and you've pre-chilled it the night before, which is great, your shopping's in there, it'll stay nice and fresh. If not, you can manually choose the source you want by just pressing the button. So battery failed with the code 10 because it's not getting a battery feed. Gas, it's lit on gas there, and then you do have your temperature like I said, so 5 being the coldest, which I would put on if I was pre-chilling it before you put your shopping in. And then once your shopping's in, you may just want to turn it to 3 or 4 being the maximum, because I have heard that 5 can be a bit too strong and freeze your shopping. Once you're finished with your fridge for the season, or you're just putting the van up and not using it and putting it into storage, standing it up, what you need to do is you need to remove everything out the fridge, clean it out, and the last thing you want to do is shut the door, because it's got a rubber seal on, it forms an airtight seal, and all that fresh air that you've just put into the clean air that you've put into the fridge will then become smelly, mouldy, trapped air. So underneath the handle, you do have a little toggle which goes into here, which you can find underneath here. So you just slide it out, nips in there, and that'll keep the door ajar to stop the fridge from becoming smelly, and it'll allow air ventilation in and out of the fridge. So now in the washroom, to operate the toilet, ensuring the pump's on, you'll be able to press the blue button at the back, which will give you a fresh water flush. So there you have your flush for the toilet. Flush your toilet, and then what you do is you open the blade. And open the blade, you slide it away from you. Always do it in this order because it keeps the seal on the blade lubricated and it stops the hatch from getting dirty. So slide it away from you. Now everything goes into the cassette. Use the toilet, flush after use, and then bring this back to the left, which seals the cassette. And then when you go to get it out, as long as it's shut, so it's sealed, it's in the left position, you'll be able to get the cassette out. If it's in the right position, which is the open position, that's when you'll go out and you'll realise it's not come out. You'll realise what you've done, and you just need to shut the hatch. Once the cassette is full, the little diagram of the person emptying the cassette, there will be an LED light on there which will come on and indicate that it is time to empty the cassette. You've got your shower screens there which are tied back, so make sure they are tied back when travelling. Got your towel rail, toiletry cabinet, your skylight which you can just push open for ventilation. And then when you are winterizing and you're not using the vehicle, it's very important that you leave all the mixer taps throughout the motorhome open. You also probably want to, which I would definitely do, is unscrew the shower head from the shower hose. You can see there any water could coil up in that pipe. Take it off, lie it in the tray. You'd open the waste from outside, so if any water did start dribbling out of this pipe, it would go straight out the waste pipe outside the vehicle. You've got your taps. So that's what will happen when the boiler has been opened and you come to reuse the vehicle. It'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises, and all you've got to do is be persistent with it until you get a free flow of water. So you just open it. So you'll notice on the cold side you'll get cold water no bother, because it's pulling it straight from the cold water tank. Once it's on the hot side, it's transferring it from the cold water tank into the boiler, which I'll get onto the boiler in a moment. But it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises as it's just pushing the air out of the system. So you would just leave that until you get a free flow of water. You've got your toilet light, and then you've got some more storage underneath the sink for your toiletries. So located underneath the bench seat in your lounge behind the driver's seat is where your boiler is. So the boiler does two jobs: heats the vehicle, heats the water. So it holds 10 litres of water at any one time. In the winter months, it's very important that you drain all water out of the motorhome, because when it gets cold, as you can see, these pipes are plastic for weight. Water could freeze in there, crack them, and then it's very expensive to repair. And also, if the water did freeze in the boiler, it'll crack the cylinder head in there, and it's very expensive to repair or replace a boiler, and it isn't covered under warranty. So to drain it down, straight in front between the boiler and the front of the bench seat is this yellow toggle tap. It's a double jointed tap, so when it's lying either side, it's closed. You need to stand it up like so, and the 10 litres of water will drain out directly out underneath the vehicle. Do it without the pump on, so it'd come in with no power. Open this, open all the taps throughout the motorhome, remove the shower head from the shower hose like I've just told you, to stop any water from coiling up on there. This will eliminate any airlocks and water sitting in any pipe work. When you do come to reuse it, shut the boiler, shut all the taps, assemble the shower head back together, shut the waste outside. Underneath here is where your fresh water tank, so make sure you put the plug in, which I'll get onto in a minute. Make sure the plug's in, then go and get a hose pipe and fill the vehicle with water. Once you've filled the vehicle with water, you can then put the control panel on and put the pump on. Go to a tap and go to the cold side first. The pump will direct cold water straight to that tap, as it's pulling it from the main tank underneath the vehicle to the tap. When you go to the hot side, it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises, as you've just seen, until you get a free flow of water. Once you get a free flow of water from the hot side of the tap, your system is then primed, and then you could just continue by doing the kitchen tap, the bathroom tap and the washroom tap. Start off with one and then just make sure all of them are done, and then if you want, you can then heat your water just to test that your boiler is still functioning as it should. Down this side you do have your leisure battery, so you'll notice at the back, just down here, you've got a main 40 amp breaker fuse, and underneath the panel you've got your leisure battery. So one fully charged leisure battery should last you, if you're wild camping, 3 days if it's used correctly. If you did want another leisure battery, you can get another battery box to go in here, or you can just use it as storage. And then underneath this hatch, so underneath the false floors, there's another hatch. You just lift this off. You can't get this hatch out, but you just move it from side to side. You'll notice underneath here there is a black screw-on cap on a white tank. This is your freshwater tank, so if you unscrew that and look into the tank, put your hand into the tank, you'll feel a cable tie. This is on the end of a red plug. So in the winter months, or if you've taken on contaminated water, or you're simply not using the vehicle for a couple of weeks, don't leave any water in it because it'll become stagnant, especially the fresh water. You can leave the boiler water in if it's the summer, but just not in the winter. You would just pull it out and drain out the water, which will drain directly out underneath the chassis, so that you don't get, in the winter, it'll not freeze. You'll not have stagnant water, or like I say, if you're taking on a contaminated source of water, you can drain that off. So this is your heating and hot water controls, which are located on the side of the wardrobe. So starting with the left hand side dial, so Truma Combi E, these are these controls. So if you ever get stuck with them, you can just Google Truma Combi E, YouTube it, there's loads of videos, but I'll give you a rundown. So in this position here, it's off. At the top, you've got 60 degrees and 40 degrees of your water. So this is just heating water only, not heating the vehicle, just water. 1 to 6, or should I say 1 to 5 is your thermostat. 5 is 30 degrees. 3 is about 20 degrees. So this is more for your heating than your water. So you just put on your water at 60 degrees if you wanted to heat your water at 60 degrees. You can heat your water at 40 degrees. So normally 60 for dishes, 40 for showering. Off in the middle. If you didn't have any water on board, but you were away in the vehicle and you wanted to heat the vehicle only, you've got the little gas flame here, which is heating only. Or if you wanted to heat the water and heat the vehicle, you've got heating the water at 60 degrees at the bottom and heating the vehicle. On this side is which energy source you want to use. So you've got at the top 2 wiggly lines, which is 2 kilowatts of electric. 1 wiggly line, which is 1 kilowatt, 750 watt. So depending on what your site gives you, if you're on a smaller CL site, you may have to use 1 kilowatt. If you're on normal camping and caravanning clubs or big club sites, you can use 2 kilowatts. It all depends what you're running in the motorhome. So if you run the microwave and the heating together, you may have to just take it off 2 kilowatts and put it on 1 kilowatt. Or you're using a kettle at the same time, because it takes such a high powered draw off the main feed, it may trip the vehicle. So you've got your electric settings at the top, 2 and 1 kilowatts. You've got gas on its own, so if you were wild camping, you would have no other access to any source other than gas. Then you've got gas in 1 kilowatt, which is known as mixture 1, and you've got gas and 2 kilowatts, which is mixture 2. Gas and 2 kilowatts you'd use in the winter if you were in desperate need to heat the vehicle, as you didn't want to, this will reduce the time it takes to heat the vehicle. So it'll probably heat the vehicle to temperature in about 10 minutes. Or if you need to heat the water fast, you can use both sources. But this is mainly for when it's really cold and you want to use both sources and not sit in a cold van or have cold water. Once you've given it 10 minutes, you would then just turn it back to electric and allow it to continue to maintain the heat that it's already provided on gas and electric. Inside the wardrobe is where you'll find the pole for your table, which will go at the front there. There's a fitting in the floor, a Fiamma pole. So this is where the pole would go, and then the tabletop will go on top of that. You've got your TV aerial, so should you be struggling for a signal, you can loosen it off, push the stem up, and then use the toggle on the end of the stalk to direct the TV aerial. But what I would do is look where other motorhomes and caravans are pointing at the time, and when travelling, always make sure the stem is pulled fully into the vehicle and the nut is fastened, as you don't want the wind to damage your TV aerial. Your awning winding handle lives in here, so it's clipped away for winding out the awning. And then you've got your status TV box, so you just leave that on, it'll turn off with the main control panel, and all this does is it boosts the signal should you be in a hard to reach area. You can't control it, it just does its own thing. It'll boost the signal to try and get you the best TV picture it can. You've got a hanging rail, and then below you've got all your 12 volt fuses, which are all listed, so do carry some spares. You've got your trips, you've got your space heater, your water heater and your battery charger on electric, so just leave them down. Unless you didn't want, if you had no water on board, you can turn this off, but your space heater and your water heater is all controlled by the dials here anyway, so even if you did turn that off, you'll just get no life on here and you'll know what you've done. You've either not cooked up or you've knocked a switch. But just leave them on and they'll only work on mains electric, but your gas does operate your water heater and your space heater as well, but just not your battery charger, because that is electric only to charge your leisure battery and your vehicle battery. So in your lounge, to assemble your double bed, all you need to do is lift, slide these out, there's a leg, drop it down. Do the same with the other, lift, slide, drop the leg down, and then you'd use your backrests in the middle, like so, and there you have a double bed. Would also advise that you turn your base cushions upside down and you get a flatter surface to sleep on. You get no bull noses, no ribs. You can put a fitted sheet on and you have more of a comfortable night's sleep on the backs of the cushions, but it's entirely up to yourselves. So now in the cab, to the right of the driver you do have your handbrake, and then on the driver's door you have your driver and passenger electric windows, and at the front you can turn this and you've got two mirrors each side to adjust the top and the blind spot. To black the cab out on an evening, you do have Remus car blinds on this model, so you've got one there, and then if you push one up, push one down, this will pop out, you slide into the middle and that'll do the windscreen. But always make sure that you've got all your blinds open before you travel, especially these ones. I know it's to stop I know they're in two parts, but you can't have any shut. You've still got to have full visibility when driving. You've got your headlight adjustment here, and the last owner has retrofitted cruise control to this model as it hasn't got it, so you can turn it on and off here, and then you can set it by pressing the end stalk when you get to the desired speed. You can pull down to off, up to resume should you press the brake, and cancel it. You can just push it up to resume, and that'll set the cruise control to the last speed set that it was previously at. Trip computer on the end of the wiper stalk, which will go through this screen here, tell you your range, your miles covered since you reset the trip, your MPG, your instant MPG, and your miles per hour, and your time it's taken to do the journey. Lights and indicators, 5-speed gearbox, lift into reverse. So you've got lock and unlock, so this will lock the habitation door as well as the cab. Hazards, rear fog lights and heated mirrors. Two 12 volt points there. Got an ashtray there, but not that it's ever been used as an ashtray. You can put your pens in there, spare coins for parking. At some point this has had a DAB radio adapter in, so it does have a DAB aerial there and an input here. What you could do is, because this radio is just FM, if you ever upgrade in the future, you've got an aerial there, just reroute this wire behind here when you remove it, and then you can fit a DAB radio, or you might just want to buy a DAB adapter radio amplifier adapter and connect it. So you've got the DAB aerial there, and you've got a auxiliary wire here to connect if you want one. Standard, it's just a FM AM radio. So you just scroll for your favourite tracks and press 1 to 6 to save your favourite channels. And then you do have your temperature, your fan speed must be on at least 1 or more for it to work, obviously, because 0 your fans are off. Your distribution, so face, feet, screen, and whether you're recirculating air or you're bringing fresh air into the vehicle. Glove box here, you can remove the fascia of the head unit, and there is a CD behind, so you just lift this off and that would just go into there should you want to take it out when storing the vehicle. But you do have a large glove box here which is lockable by the key, and then if you wanted to turn your cab seats round, little levers on both sides, you can turn your seats round into the rear of the motorhome when parked. If they were to get stuck on the doors, you would just pull it forward and turn it round.